Hola, hola, muy buenas noches a toda la gente bonita que nos está viendo. Hoy tenemos un programa súper especial y también déjenme decirles que este va a ser nuestro primer programita que va a ser en inglés. Van a poder ver los subtítulos, así es que no se preocupen. Y como seguro han visto, tanto en las redes sociales de Eileen como en las mías, como en las de Camino Astral, les hemos estado haciendo, de hecho también Rich hizo un review sobre el arte moderno de la brujería de Florez. Y entonces, pues decidimos traérselos para poder platicar con él. Y déjenme, les voy a platicar. Bueno, primero, Eli, ¿cómo estás? Perdón, yo ya me quería saltarte.
Pues muy feliz de estar aquí con ustedes, acompañada de Lu, de contigo y sobre todo de traerles esta nueva etapa. Saben que hemos traído autores aquí a la comunidad, pero como este libro, sobre todo en nuestras redes sociales, tuvo mucho éxito y querían saber acerca más de Lu, es por eso que decidimos traerlo para platicar con ustedes y nos cuente su experiencia y sobre todo qué pueden encontrar en este libro. Así es que, sin más preámbulos, para adelante.
Así es. Pues déjenles platico que Florez es un brujo de fama mundial, hechicero, herbolario, sacerdote, activista y artista que ha estudiado con comunidades indígenas y antiguas de todo el mundo. Sus enseñanzas y sus prácticas se basan, en generar conectividad con el cuerpo mediante paisajes físicos, emocionales, espirituales y medioambientales, en crear relaciones vivas y dinámicas, de modo que seamos conscientes de nuestro poder inherente disponible en cada segundo vivido. Y además, también siempre nos han preguntado sobre libros y libros, pues más recientes, ¿no? Porque hemos hablado de los clásicos, pero es bueno también siempre estar actualizados. Ahora sí, sin más, Lu, welcome. Thanks so much for being here with us. How are you?
Thank you so much, and it's great to meet you both, as well as to speak to everybody who's going to see this. I'm great. I'm here in LA. It is bright and sunny. I've been in my little garden, kind of doing all my little herbs and weeding and cleaning my altars today. So it's been a beautiful day so far.
We are we are envy because here
Yes.
in Mexico City it's so cloudy and rainy.
No, it's ridiculous. And like here in the States, there's so much there's droughts in one area and then it rains. It's all the climate change is insane.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's
Global
about,
global
right?
warming is fake, no?
Yeah. And I think that's part of even, conversations about witchcraft, right?
Yeah.
Being in relationship to the earth.
Yeah.
Seeing what's happening. Porque, everybody thinks that it's like they're part of conquest and part of what we're having to fight against in terms of naming these traditions is that whole idea of God showing up and saying, right? Versus seeing it with our own eyes, remembering our own brilliance, remembering that spirit's constantly revealing itself in everything, right? Porque if we're not doing that, then what are we doing? If we're waiting for God or Jesus, or not that I'm saying that I don't believe, you know what I mean? But
Yes.
right? That's what we're talking about, that our ancestors weren't superstitious, that we weren't dumb, that we weren't throwing shit at each other, right? Like that's what people think when they think the ancestors, or when they think any of this, it's all superstitious. It's all, all the derogatory things that we talk about when we think of ancestral traditions. Versus,
and that's the main thing because in my personal practice, I know it sucks, but I have my deities, I have my altars for my spirit guides, but for my ancestors, I only do it in Dia de los Muertos. So it sucks that as myself as a witch, I didn't put effort to make contact with my ancestors.
But I can I also put it out there? Just because we don't have an altar doesn't mean that we don't hold them dear.
Yeah.
The altar's just the ornamentation. I have to do it here in my body first. And that's what I see y'all talking about, right? And so it's cute to have an, because so many people have altars.
Yes, so many.
Yeah, but having an altar also sometimes doesn't mean anything if you don't work with it, and if you don't feel like, for example, with me, that all the family from my father came. They are from Africa, so for me it's not easy to be with them. But all the time is funny because all the time my family says that I'm so much as my grandmother. So I only meet her like for a month in my whole life. I only meet her like once. And for me, that was really, really so special because I feel the connection. And well, now that all my grandparents and grandmother and grandfathers are passed away, for me, it's really like think about them. And also, more than think about it, is to remain all the knowledge that they let me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And that's also what witchcraft is. It's a memory
Yes.
of our spirits and what worked for each one of our peoples. And, versus like, I think, so much of kind of the way that it gets talked about nowadays is all this, woo,
Yeah.
charmed y todo. I love a good story. I love a good story about brujeria, right? Like, I grew up on all the like the soap operas with the wit, todo, right?
Yeah.
But that's not, right? This isn't that. That's story. This is something different. And whenever we make it about connection and creating relationship and
Yes.
actually being good people on the earth, that's the foundation for any of this.
Mhm.
But if we're in it for power, if we're in it to like see spirit, just the performativity of it.
Yeah.
And well, did you do that? And did you do this ingredient? And
Mhm,
what did
mhm,
you
mhm.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's it.
Farah, you have a question about the first.
Yeah. Also, it's really related with all of these that
Yeah.
we were talking because I really love the way that you made your introduction in your book, that you talk about your mother. Really, that really touched me because well, I'm more connected with my mother and my grandmother. That means the mother of my mother. So, and I've been reading a lot of books, and really, I never found someone that says I have this because of my mother, because she teaches me, because all the knowledge that I have is because of her. So, can you like talk about this? How did your mother teach you this way?
Yeah, absolutely. And so part of it, like part of this work, right?
Yeah.
Because my mom had passed away 4 months before I started to write the book.
Oof.
And
Yeah.
she was the last one that I had. Like all my grandparents had passed, my dad had passed, and then she had passed, and then within 3 weeks of her passing, my eldest witchcraft teacher passed.
Wow.
And so todo, like
Yeah.
all my
Yeah.
moms got taken away from me except for one. I have one more, like in the Afro-Caribbean tradition,
Yeah.
who's my godmother, and that, but like with the people who've known me the
Yeah.
longest, right? And so and what I had been sitting with is witchcraft outside of, right? Like we were talking about.
Yeah.
Or even witchcraft outside of lighting a candle or,
Hmm.
using an oil, right? That there's a frame of mind there's a way of seeing the world and of seeing spirit that comes from again, that connectivity, right? There's nothing that's going to divorce me from Creator. And that as I am in that relationship and evolving myself and becoming a better person, that my natural gifts start to come out, right? So everything from dreams to divination to, and that these are all ways of physically working with spirit, but that connection has to come first, because if that doesn't happen, then all am I doing is just reciting recipes.
Yes.
Exactly.
There's no spirit involved. It's just I do this, you do, and what an elder told me that I still sit with today is that 80% of the priests that he had studied with and had sat with had never heard God in their life. And that all they were working with was the instruction manual, right? And it works, right? But that's not what happens when that doesn't work. What happens when, and so what I take it back to is that witchcraft isn't just about the thinginess of it, right? Like taking a bath, porque our ancestors, when they didn't have those available, what did they do?
They work with what they have.
Right. These are the things that we do now.
Yeah.
What did they do back in the day? That's still using the same techniques, but we're using, what they had available in the day. Right? And so they're teaching us how to literally speak into creation and have it manifest, right? Because of our relationship, like todo, right? So if we take witchcraft back there, then it doesn't matter whether I have the candle. I'm able to still do my work.
Yeah, because it's like the intention, the words, the feeling, what you have inside is what really matters. No, if you work with the metal, silver, gold, or wherever. That now on these days, I think that that's pretty much the problem. That with influencers and with creating the social medias, people is more interested in how the work looks, that beautiful, like with beautiful candles and everything, that more than the real work inside. That it's what really matters.
We always say is just tools. The power is in you, not in the tool.
I mean, some of the witches that I have seen taking a glass of water and praying over it, and the shit that they've able to accomplish and do and clean people.
Wow.
So, and what I've been taught is, what we're doing in our evolutionary and elevation process is moving closer and closer to the door of God, right? Or the spirit or whoever we work with, right? And so we don't have to scream. We can just have a conversation.
Yeah.
Right? And the way that we move closer is by self-development, being good people, doing right. And that doesn't mean that we're also fools or that we're not warriors or that it's all about the light, and not that dark is evil either. But, right, that's going to be my last resort. That's not going to be my first.
Something that I love about your book, it's, first of all, we have so many books about European witchcraft. We don't have so many books about brujería. We don't have so much books about Latin American brujería. So for me, it's very good to see one book that talks about our herbs, our resources in our territory. But I would like to start that I would love to talk about the first chapter, because in so many books I have encountered that it's the recipe, the materials, and that's it, and do the work. But in your first chapter, you said kind of exercises to ground yourself, to meditate, to be with yourself, your higher self, to listen to you. And that it's so important to me. It doesn't even care if you are beginner, medium, advanced, it doesn't matter. You have to always come back from the roots. And I like so much when you say you have exercises for meditation, to meditation, visualization, because it's so hard and it's so important. It's a key element when you do witchcraft or brujería or ritos, whatever you call it. If you don't see it, if you don't feel it, if you don't feel it with your bones, with your emotion, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But so many authors forget about it. So talk about your experience with this chapter to tell us beginners, advanced, or whatever, these exercises.
Thank you. And that's a really beautiful point. And that's also like, you know how I was talking about how we uplift and liberate and move closer to spirit? So all the things that we do to develop our spirit to be able to like fully speak and get behind ourselves in everything that we do. So one, if I am trying to do a ritual and I'm not in full agreement with it, it's not going to happen. No matter the ingredients, no matter the incantation, nada, right? So first I have to ask myself and every part of myself, are you agreeing to this, right? I'm going to gather the fullness of my being, right? Then with like the box breath or the mystic breath, right? That fourfold breath. So that's one of the techniques that's used to change the consciousness in our mind and to start that alchemicalization, because we all know, like, before something comes into manifestation, it has to first come from the unseen realms, right? And it's not just this woo-woo heaven, right? But I'm talking about even within me, that before I serve a glass of water, I have to even register that I'm thirsty, right? I have to, all the signals that it takes for me to register that, get off my ass, go get, that's all invisible work that my body's doing, right? So I'm going to take that in the same way of the job, right? So I'm going to call in all the invisible elements that are needed to happen, just like those impulses of wanting the water, right? So I'm going to call in the, you know, the money, the people that I want to work with, the type of todo. And I'm going to be very clear in that. So that way, whenever I'm doing the work, all of me is hitting. Porque if I'm trying to go in too many different directions, it's like dropping a, you know, a color, you know, in the ocean. It's not gonna, you know. So the more that I can gather myself, build my energy, also, you know, and this is something that I work with my people on, but, and you know, I'm a big boy, like I'm not skinny. But part of it too is, what am I eating? Am I exercising? You know, how am I in my body? Right? Porque if I'm not strong, my spirit's not going to be strong. Right? So, you know, I notice whenever I'm eating a lot of cheeseburgers and steaks y todo, and that doesn't mean that I'm, you know, need to be vegetarian, but right? You know, because then that also affects all the invisibles going into my heart, like all the ancestral stuff that I have with heart disease and high blood pressure and stroke. Right? So if I'm praying for longevity and doing all this work on health, but I'm not eating healthy and building my, right?
It's
So
align the spells with your intention and your actions. They have to be all aligned.
yes, ma'am. And one of my first witchcraft teachers, brujería teachers, right? And I don't know how many people know in the tarot, the 9 of discs. And it's the card with the woman that's in the garden. She's like this
Yeah, with
courtesan,
the snail.
right?
Yep.
And she has the hawk, right?
Yeah.
So that was the first card that I was ever taught. And I was taught that that was the queen of the deck. And the reason why is she talks about the 3 forms of will. So there's goodwill, the ability to communicate effectively what I want in the world. So us sitting here, I have to use the bathroom. Do I say, hey, can I take 5 seconds while I go use the bathroom? Or do I sit there in suffering and silence because I think that that's what I deserve and that you're not going to understand, or that we can't put pause, or right? And
Yeah.
I just assume that I have to take second in my own life, and that there can't be many ways of having all of our needs met, right? And so thinking about that whenever we think of what we're asking for in our spell work, right? Are we actually asking for what we want, or
Yeah.
is it not that, right? Because we don't think that we're worthy of getting that, or we think that it has to, right? Versus that the universe is unlimited, and that I can just speak into existence, and it doesn't take something away from somebody else to get mine, right? Then the second form of will, disciplined will, which is the action, right? I can't pray for love if I'm sitting in my apartment and I'm not meeting anybody. And
Yeah.
that even includes apps, like, and that's something that I'm, like, and, have issues with too. But what is the physicality? And how can I show up in the moment and be prepared for that blessing to come in the door and be ready? So what I tell people is, as you're praying for the job, making sure that your resume is up to date.
Yes.
Making sure that you're like, have the practice of the interviews, and have confidence, like make it muscle memory, right? So that way it just, it's like karate. They don't have to think about things, they just chop, right? Or whatever, right? So it's the same thing. Then the third form of will, which is skillful will, using what's around us to create the most poignant change. So the brujería, right? It's also the therapy to be able to get all the BS out the way. It's also all the, the ways that we encourage each other, all the invisible stuff that we do to like move. And so if we use all 3 of these in whatever the situation is, we are like golden. Like the universe will manifest, because she's putting you in alignment at the same moment of whatever the other side of the coin is. So I'm hungry and the tree is blooming with apples, right? It's not that I am creating the apples per se. It's that I'm being put at the moment where the tree is blooming and producing its apples, and I'm hungry. And so we're making that exchange, right? Versus that I have to demand it, or that I have to use my life force to get $20. Because I see that all the time. I've done that myself, where I try and force the thing, or I try and like, kind of like strong arm it. And it takes a lot. Not that you can't do that, but I see people only live into their 50s, and that's can be a result of trying to strong arm it and dominate and like that type of work whenever that's not needed for everything,
Yeah, that's really like a key point, because, well, Ellie and I, we always talk about it. It's like listen to you, make me feel that it's correct the way that Ellie and I, we practice, because we always talk these things to the people that listen to us and to see us, that trying to force things is never worth it, because it's at the end it's not, you are not going to have what you really deserve. Maybe you can have, like, for little moments, the maybe the love that you want, or the money that you want, or the material things that you want, but they never last because because like you were like cheating, no, like like not doing the real process.
Yes, ma'am. And also part of it too, like think of the people who, win the lottery, but within the year they go bankrupt because they
Yeah,
haven't changed the stuff.
yeah,
So, and also like, I mean, whenever the amount of horror stories with like, oh my God.
yeah,
I
We
mean,
know, we know.
oh my God. And that's telling you, I mean, just so much about the person and how they're like in front of you who's asking for the thing,
yes,
how much they're hurt.
And that's so important to talk about, to talk with you about this kind of brujeria, because
yeah,
in the mainstream, they think brujeria, it's the spooky things, the shitty things, the kind of bad
hmm,
juju things, whatever it is. But we have to mentalize ourselves that also witchcraft, brujeria, and whatever kind of magic,
yeah,
they have not colors, but they are I don't know how can I say it? It's not white, black. It's kind in between,
yeah,
and it's
hmm,
up on the people, not in the magic. It's on the
hmm,
people that result, the consequences, the desire that you make into that spell, that manifestation, whatever it is. It's not the magic. It's you.
yeah,
Yes. And it's a character of the person who's doing it,
hmm,
right? So like, these magics, right? Even curse work. A
hmm,
lot of the people who were invented this work, they did it because it was necessary and it was needed for that.
hmm,
So you're raping my sister. You're coming after me. Oh, you're getting dealt with. You know what I
hmm,
mean?
hmm, hmm,
But I'm not going to do that unless you do it, right? Like, that's not the first thing that you go to. Then
hmm,
you have
hmm,
to clean yourself up after. And it's not even like karma in terms of somebody coming in and saying you did wrong. It's the repercussions of the energies that you're working with. You're
Actually,
doing something violent, they're going to have
hmm,
violence on you. You have to, right? Like, people are going to be violent back. Like, and
yeah,
so
yeah,
you're gonna say, hey, I'm gonna, right? Like, and if it's justifiable, and if it's in a place that like you've done everything, like of course I've seen stuff that was absolutely hard work, but it was needed because of the severity of what the transgression was.
hmm,
yes.
But right? And it's only because other ways of involving the law or any that was the last resort in any of it.
hmm, hmm,
You go to the
It is
police
the
first
last
and then you do the
resort.
curse,
As
right?
always, we say that magic is the last resort.
yeah,
You have to put the work, trying to figure out things, try to make things, whatever. And magic is your last resort.
yeah, always.
And also, like, because I mean, everybody has stuff that doesn't work, or it didn't come up in the ways that you prayed for it or what have you. And that doesn't mean that it didn't work. Right? Like it could have come up in
Works.
a different way or, it wasn't in alignment, but that doesn't
Yeah,
mean that,
yeah,
right? And also, I can't be expecting to like manifest $1 bajillion off of one candle the first time out. Like,
yeah,
I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Like, because people also have unrealistic expectations with what
yes.
they do, their knowledge, the tools that they have around them to be able to do that, right?
And
And
also, it's like magic is a process. No, that's why we have books, because we are always learning. We are always having knowledge, and also Ellie and I, we always talk about that now people always research everything in the internet. They don't think by themselves. They always look like I don't know, potion for this or spell for that, and like I don't know, like that's also what I like about your book, that you give us the ingredients so also we can create our own brujería, our own magic. But
Mhm.
also I have another question, also related about we were talking about. Um, did you think that the heritage, the culture, influence our practice, our magical practice? And like in which ways?
Absolutely. You know, going back to like our relationship to things, right? So the plants, the animals, the landscape that I'm in isn't going to be the same for you, right?
Mhm,
I don't know Mexico City. I know LA. I know Texas. I know Colorado. I know Albuquerque. I know Matamoros. Like I know the Rio Grande, you know, like
yeah.
I spent time there. I've done work there. I know the spirit of the land, right? And so I'm able to see what's there, like observe what's actually interacting there. And so it's not just like, you know, it's a spirit of the land that also consents to the work that we're doing, you
Mhm,
know? And so, yeah, like it's location specific. But also because I have relationship to like certain herbs or elements, I can also find them there, right?
mhm,
So if I know what to look for, but also if I know what it does. So like, you know, people use a lot of white sage out here in
mhm.
the States, right? But I'm not going to be looking for that in Mexico City, right?
I,
It's not going to be a thing that I'm going to be using immediately. I'm going
mhm,
to go to Copal. I'm going to go to, you know, Pericon. I'm going to
mhm,
go to, you know, I mean, there's, so Yarrow, you know what I mean? Like,
mhm,
porque I'm going to understand what it's doing there, and then I'm going to see its energy and what it you know, like what that plants are doing here. And then I'm also going to talk to like y'all and be like, yo, I'm coming to Mexico City, like show me around, like introduce me to, you know,
yeah.
everything. And so I can start to, right? But I also like, you know, water's everywhere, right? And
Mhm,
because I know how to work with water, I can work with water, right? Like, so it's that too. And that's why I'm saying like being able to know the self, to be no matter
mhm,
what environment, I'm always can
mhm,
speak into
mhm,
spirit, but also to know what's around so that way I don't ever have to be myself, you know, by myself in that way, you
mhm.
know?
And also it's cheaper. It's cheaper to work with herbs around you than about herbs from Europe.
Oh my God. And just walking around neighborhoods and seeing the plantitas,
Yeah.
like the amount of ornamental plants
Yeah.
that people have that they don't even know is brujería.
Mhm, mhm.
Like, you know, like I
Gato
have
por abuela,
aquí,
gato
like,
por abuela.
you know, like the snake plant, everybody
Yeah.
has a snake plant, you know? And you can be walking around like, you know, that's for gossip and, you know, tying the tongue down, being able to fight, being able
Mhm.
to, you know, so it's right there. I don't need to go to a botanica, you know?
Exactly. It's working with what you have that many people, yeah, I also have like a small garden, and I always well, I always have like, you know, like romero, lavanda, and I love to work with that because are the plants, are the herbs that I help to grow up. For me has more, I'm going to say more power because I
Yes.
have a connection,
I-
and can be just like chamomile, like just nor like manzanilla, like something so simple, but for me it's like more powerful because I know the flower. I grow them up.
You
Yeah,
see them,
that's
you
totally
have an
true. Yeah,
experience, yeah. Like epazote,
yeah, it was so, yeah.
it's such a great hierba. Like it is a
Yeah,
very strong magical herb. Pero nobody, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and
Your book is the first one that I saw that it's that talk about the pasote.
yeah, there's so many like that. Like even aguacate, like the avocado leaves.
Yeah,
I mean, the amount of brujeria you can do with avocado, like, I mean, just simple things. Hibiscus, like hibiscus, jamaica,
I like that.
the leaves. Exorcism. You can get a spirit off that's possessing with the flower for lust and passion. You know, like,
Oh.
I mean, there's so much. If you just
Mhm.
walk around and you actually was walking around with somebody who knows.
Mhm.
Oh my God. And it's the simplest thing, the thing that you have in your garden. It's not the, $3,000 on Etsy that only grows 3 months a year. Who has time for that?
And money, and money for
Or the
that.
money,
I'm not afraid.
like,
With
right?
this
Like,
economy.
so that's the thing is like, if we know what we're working with and we're not looking for the other to fill me up,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I can see what I have here as powerful.
Talking about flowers and herbs, what I like about your book, it's kind of feeling when I was a little kid, I was mixing potions in my mom's bathroom and stuff like that. But with your book, I feel that kind same feeling. I was feeling like a little alchemist doing potions and
Yeah.
stuff. And talking about Florida water, I would like to ask you because we know Florida water, like the
Yeah. Mhm.
commercial one, no? But in your book, you show us the recipe about North American recipe about the 1800s or stuff, the Peruvian version. But for me, the most important thing, your own version of Florida water, because
Exactly.
you can buy Florida water, it's okay, but if you can make your own with your favorite herbs, plants, spices, or
Mhm.
whatever, and you feel I love that you talk about aromatic families,
Mhm.
so you
Mhm.
can make your own Florida water with your preference, with your physical preference and your spiritual preference. And for me, that's so powerful.
Yeah. Like, because people think that they have to either make it from scratch, right? Which it's a lot. It's a lot. Like these recipes, they're a lot of work, y todo, but you can take what you get like at the botanicas or, any of the pharmacies and then spice it up yourself. So you don't have to
Mhm.
start from scratch, right? So you can take like, the regular Florida water from the grocery store, like there's a number of different types that I
Mhm.
love. So like for, to get rid of a bad spirit on you or like exorcism, you can use things like I was saying, the hibiscus, right? You can use rompesaragüe, rompecamiso, espantamuerto, rue, um, uh, um, agrimony, those types of herbs that strip and
Mhm.
rip and return. And then see it as a tincture, right? You're gonna tincture the herbs in that Florida because it's 99% alcohol. Like that's the strongest alcohol, and especially the cheap the stuff that they use,
Yeah.
like here for that. So you can tincture that and then use that whenever you're cleaning somebody off or cleaning a home, right? There's recipes, for, refreshing infirmity or,
Mhm.
after somebody comes out of an illness or to avert illness from the house. Any of these recipes that you see in the book, you can then add them into a Florida water mix and create
Mhm.
your own agua, from that.
Can you talk about your own water, the version of blue Florida
I
water?
love, yes, yes, yes. So, I mean, so like part of what people, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people come to me, but a lot of what I've been working with is like kind of the exorcism, people who have a lot of kind of spirits riding them, stuff like that. So that's where that
Mhm.
recipe comes from, is to really help kind of strip away as well as to help support strengthen the person's, own spirit, and to bring their ancestors closer. So that's part of the way that I work to, remove negativity. It also has like all over blessing herbs in it. But you'll find things like, what I use in it, camphor. Camphor is a very strong exorcism. For folk who don't know, even just burning camphor in the home and hotboxing it, where you shut all the doors and windows, take your pets out because it's bad for
Yes.
the I mean, like low level, medium level stuff will just run away. They hate that. Like, it's the mothball smell, right?
Wow.
So that with, a lot of the herbs that I was talking about,
Mhm,
phenols are great against mal ojo,
mhm.
to be able to reverse back any of that kind of envidia, mal ojo. But yeah, it's an all over, but really good to cleanse altars with, get rid of just nasty energy, that kind of vibe.
So if you want to learn the loose version of Florida Water, you have to buy the book.
You're so sweet. You're so
Yeah, and
sweet.
You
also,
have to buy the book.
but also it's like how Lou was talking just right now, that because sometimes here in Mexico, when people talk like, oh, I need a limpia, they always give you like the same. So everyone do the same limpia, but sometimes it's not enough, or sometimes doesn't work the same for everyone. So with the book, you give us a lot of ideas of how to do the limpias and also the velas, the aguas floridas. So it's another also, yeah, another way of working, and also like Ellie says, like creating, well, as a witch. I think that some witches forgot this part, that working yourself, not buying everything. I mean, well, it's good if you go, yeah, because I have a shop, so it's good if you
Right,
go
both
to
hands,
bazares,
right?
to
Yeah.
mercados. That's good, it's okay, but also I always say that it's better when you create your own material, because like the smells that you love, that you like, or the things in your house, or with I don't know, like for study, like everyone has the special smell, the special yeah. So for me, I love that, but also I'm I love to read, I love to write. So I really want to know, how did you decide to write a book about el arte moderno de la brujería? Like, just
Not
one day you
witchcraft.
decide,
No witchcraft, nor magical form.
yeah.
Brujería.
Well, okay. So, I want two different things. So, one, like you're saying with the limpias, right? And
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, a lot of the herbs that you use, like they're
Yeah.
great. I'm not poo-pooing nobody. But on top of that, there are certain things that you can use for
Mhm.
different conditions. So
Mhm.
it's like, if I'm trying to do cleansing around poverty and, places where I'm trying to cut, like, where I just have gone from one job to you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and not getting paid my worth. He thought like just that's my consistent luck. Then I'm gonna use yerbas that are meant for that, right?
Mhm.
Versus stuff that are meant for more like spirit possession stuff. And so
Mhm.
it's also the difference between, like getting the cough medicine versus the chemotherapy too,
Mhm.
right? Sometimes you don't need the chemo,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
right? Because that's poison, like that's gonna be real intense. And then
Mhm.
people don't know why they feel so bad after Olympia.
Mhm.
If they just got the chemotherapy version of it, and you're like taken down to ground zero. Whenever I was just coming in there because I had a bad day and I was feeling off and I just needed a
Yeah.
little like, like a rain, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus the hurricane,
Yeah.
right? And so that's also part of it, is to
Mhm.
recognize, is it, is it just road opening? Is it, hex bruja, like actual bruja, where I have to like,
Mhm.
and like where, what, not just you're dirty and you need to be cleaned. you
Yeah,
know?
no, that's totally true.
Yeah. And also with you, like shops are absolutely necessary. And it's the both ands, right? Like, you know, I make my own stuff también. We all have specializations, and
Yeah.
it's not that people can't make it themselves. It's the I mean, sometimes I don't like, I'm not gonna go and, get silkworms and, gather this and then, turn that into a fabric and then turn that into a garment like I could,
Yeah.
but I don't, right? I'm gonna go to JC Penney's or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whatever, right? So, but not being able to know how to do it in case we need to do it or want to do
Mm-hmm.
it, right? But you were asking, sorry, I know I was going off. You were asking about, kind of why I wanted to do a brujeria book. So honestly, I've been sitting with it for a while. Because a lot of the books that I see here in the States, they talk a lot about brujeria, but there's nothing. Like there's not a lot of doing a thing, right?
Yeah. So, mm-hmm.
So that's where, for me, I get a little suspicious. Because if you're not giving me anything, then why am I reading you? If I'm just reading you to hear your stories about brujeria,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, so, and also I'm somebody who wants techniques. Like if you're just giving me ingredients, right? Like how's that
Mm-hmm.
different from a cookbook? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've been seeing these kind of trends for a while. Like I grew up in the 90s and the brujeria, because we didn't even have brujeria books. Like that was still
No,
like
no.
in the States, right? Like in the
Yeah.
States, at least,
We
I don't
have
know.
Wicca books, weekend books,
Yes,
and that stuff.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And there were a couple of good Wiccan books
Mm-hmm.
that were like that were really influential to me as I was studying, because they gave me some of these larger meditation, kind of techniques, like how to start to build my own inner spirit up
Mm-hmm.
with and so I love those books. And so I wanted to create something, even though, my Spanish is horrible. Like I'm not trying to pretend that I am who I am. I work the medicine that I was given and the medicine, that I was taught, as well as, I'm the one that when your auntie or mama or somebody needs help, you come to me, right? Like, so, and also I'm the one that goes to like immigration cases, like goes to the hospital with people. Like that's who I am. That's how I studied. That's how I got the information that I got. I was cleaning the shrines. I was on my hands and knees, scrubbing the floors, todo y todo. Like that's how I learned. Right. So, so that's something that I miss in any of these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And I also see, at least the Spanish like brujeria books that I see are a lot of European herbs.
Mhm.
And I'm not, a lot of the herbs that I mentioned, have more Afro-Caribbean, because that's the kind of brujeria that I was,
Mm-hmm.
kind of taught, as well as what you see in like Texas, like the,
Mm-hmm.
Chicano brujeria, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what you get with the ingredients. But I always wondered, like, why aren't you talking about like epazote, right? Like epazote, avocado, like, and actually telling me what to do with it versus this is a plant that was used. Right. So anyway, that's my little going off on it.
And in that kind of point of view, I would like to talk. How about your book is refreshing to me, because I see in other books like luck spell, love spell, blessing
Sí.
spell, money spell, something like that. But in I have never see a spell for sex workers, a protection for activists, a spell for get the visa and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we have to deal with what our people are dealing with now,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
As
See.
well as sex work has always been a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, honestly, some of my first jobs were working with, kind of sex working houses in Las Vegas. Like, they put me through kind of
Wow.
college doing brujeria for, you know, to bring in customers and like, you know, to stop like competition in the house. Although like, you know, the head ladies would call my ass and be like, which worker, you know, who's doing what type of brujeria is, what, you know, what's going on? You know, I have a feeling that she needs to go, you know, like, right?
Wow.
And so that, like, A, that's the real work.
Yeah.
Like, so, and I'm not saying real in terms of like that, but actually helping people who need it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you know, realizing like people don't go to that. Like, that's so, you know, you need, if you're gonna have to do that, you need a client that's gonna be nice to you,
Mm-hmm.
to know that you're safe. You need to, you know, porque it's dangerous out there.
I think that your book, it's from, I think your book, it's for people that doesn't have this mental state that, oh, sex workers are bad, oh no, I don't want to deal with activist stuff, oh no, I just want to work with the light and with myself and the chakras and stuff like that.
Right? I mean,
Yeah, I feel that your book, it's for the people who live day by day, penny by penny, and want to make improving in their lives. For the
Mm-hmm.
ordinary people,
yes,
the
ma'am.
book, it's not for the spiritual bitches that are, oh, I want to manifest, I want to be alive with my chakras and stuff like that.
No, no. And that's not what these traditions were, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I say, like, let's be real. Like, let's be
Yeah.
authentic.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to present that I'm Mr., you know, like I'm a queer Chicano who speaks Spanglish, you know, like who's big bodied, who's whatever this is, and what? You know what I mean? Like, and so be you, learn how to do
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, learn how to, and, you know, write your own books. Like, if this doesn't represent the way that you know brujeria, write your, like, I want to read it. You know, there's so many different brujerias.
Sí.
This is right? As well as I hope that you can take this and look at my techniques and
Mm-hmm.
not just the ingredients. So
Mm-hmm.
that way you can see how I'm utilizing an ingredient and what I'm calling its energy into in a specific way. So that way you can then go into your environment and see, oh, I don't have A, B, and C, but I do have, you know, oregano in my cabinet. I can get some lemon leaves out the door, right? Like, what can I do with that?
I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
also, I think that your book, it's like a a, a love story for all Latin Americans, brujas and
Sí.
brujos,
Sí.
because
Yeah.
it's not about the work, the ingredients. It's being be aligned with your culture, with your
Mm-hmm.
ancestors, with your family, with
Yeah.
the bruja abuela, with the remedies and stuff.
Sí.
It's a love story about our culture, background, our
Mm-hmm.
histories. It's not a witchcraft book. It's more than that.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's it. Like, I love that phrase of a love story too. Porque we can always say somebody's smarter, somebody's more powerful, somebody knows more than what our own people know,
Mm-hmm.
right? But can I see what I have as treasure? Can I see what's in my body and the way that my people
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
saw and was with the earth and was with people to create something, to speak to spirit? And that's just as, right, a form of enlightenment as Buddhism, as Christianity, as Judaism. And why isn't that put in that light? And who does that serve? Porque it doesn't serve us. And
Mm-hmm.
the more people that really are looking at decolonizing work, the more
Yeah.
people have to look at brujeria,
Use
because that is
for
enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
colon, because
Yeah.
here in Mexico, we have influences for European witchcraft.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we have here in Mexico a witch. Her name is Paola Klug, and her work is to revive the
Mm-hmm.
prehistoric and Aztec magic, the
Mm-hmm.
Aztec witchcraft. But it's not enough. We need more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to look at your, like, literally who's in your line. And because so many of the things that we do, we don't even realize are witchcraft.
Yeah.
We just do
Yeah,
them
that's true.
because, you
Sana,
know,
sana. Sana, sana, colita de rana.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful. And that's enlightenment and that is spirit work. And we just weren't told that. Just like
Mm-hmm.
in school, how all of us get beaten down, right? Like, we
When
get
your
put into
abuela rubs you beef vaporú, it's
yes.
eucalyptus. And it says like, sana, sana, my niño, colita de rana, and you feel better.
Yeah.
Oh my God. My, you know, I would get that and then the infirmity broom with agua flor,
Sí, sí, sí.
you know, and then you're good. Like, you know, usually your fever breaks, you know what I mean? Within a couple of hours, you're eating something, you know, like it's the real.
The
Yeah,
abuela
when they sing a song.
kitchen magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's magic. Yeah,
And
the
that's
teas.
powerful.
Like,
Yeah.
like in my family, we have like our potion. That is when we feel sick, and really, for us, work. For us, work.
And you know, and so, because it's the spirit ingredients, it's not
Yes.
just the physical alchemy of it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. It's the
Mm-hmm.
spirit of the thing too. You know?
Wow. Well, like the timing is passing, but
Yeah.
it's really was so delicious to talk with you, because also like I read once the book, but now talking to you is like I'm
Point of view.
understanding
It's
like
like a
in a
new
new
book.
way. So yeah, I need to read it again, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to discover new things, and really is um like the book just arrived in Spanish some months ago. So um well, to yeah, to all the people who want to read in Spanish, because also that's other problem, that when they ask us about books or when we show books are always in English. So this is in Spanish, gente. Este libro ya está en español. Está disponible en las librerías aquí en México, en su librería favorita o en línea. Es, ya saben, de nuestros amigos de Obelisco. Lu Rodríguez es el escritor. Y ya vieron un poquito de qué trata en este programita, también en los reviews que les hemos hecho. So go and really find your book. But like the last question that I want to ask you is, because here you write some questions that we need to ask to ourselves. But I really want, like, for Lu, what is a witch?
Or bruja. What it's to be a
¿Qué es
I
una
know, I
bruja?
know.
Sí,
for your personal point of view. For
yeah,
your
your personal
Okay.
point of view.
So, I mean, the real, it's somebody who's so attuned in themselves and so attuned in their environment that they're able to speak into the universe and create.
Mhm.
And then it depends on what we want to create, right?
Yeah.
For the bad, the other. But that's really, you know, and, you know, especially in terms of like Brujería, our Latin American, right? Brujas. Like, it's not just Europeans. We had some strong ass queens and continue to have some strong ass queens and kings and everybody else. So we are some powerful witches. We are some powerful brujas. So let's use our voice, and not just the physical voice, but the spirit
Mhm.
to really make some shit happen, because we powerful.
That's beautiful.
Much love, and it's so great to be in conversation, and anytime.
No, really,
You can find
thanks
you.
to you.
Can you tell your social media
Yes, yes. My website is Florez, FLOREZ.com. And then my Instagram is Modern Brujo.
Oh, okay.
Also, we are going to write it here, and also in the post from this program, you also can find that we hashtag, no, arroba.
Yeah.
Bueno, etiquetamos a Lu también en los posts de las redes sociales, así es que ahí también pueden encontrar sus redes sociales y cómo contactarlo. Esto fue Brujas del Kaldero. Estuvo conmigo como siempre Eileen. Eileen, ¿a ti cómo te pueden encontrar en las redes sociales?
La Biblioteca de Aradia en YouTube o Eileen-Aradia en Instagram y TikTok.
Recuerden que a mí me encuentran como Leyes Witch para todas las cosas mágico-místicas brujeriles y Farah Leyeli para mi vida, pues igual, brujeril mugulosa. De verdad, el arte moderno de la brujería es un libro moderno que habla sobre todo lo que les platicamos. Ya ven, no solo es brujería, sino también es esta cuestión de ser la mejor versión de uno mismo, es lo que yo siempre digo. Y muchísimas gracias, Lu. Thank you so much, Lu, for being here, for have this beautiful chat with us. Really was a pleasure to have you. Y para toda la gente bonita que nos está viendo, recuerden, nos vemos el próximo miércoles a las 8 de la noche en Brujas del Kaldero. Yo soy Farah y me despido.
Yo soy Eli, nos vemos la próxima semana.
Bye.
Let